What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's NHL, scoring and especially individual scoring has really skyrocketed post-COVID. When looking at it, long gone are the days of Jamie Benn winning an Art Ross with 87 points back in 2015. Now 87 points has you outside of the top 20. So today I wanted to look at the top 20 scorers of last season and kind of predict whether or not I think they'll go over or under that point total. Kind of just like a fun little exercise. We've got 2 months until the goddamn season. Let's just speculate rampantly. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Up first, I have Nikita Kucherov, 144 points last year. And even though I think he's probably going to go north of 120, I think you got to go with an under here. 144 to put up back-to-back seasons of 140 is just straight up like generational shit. That it's only like Gretzky, Lemieux, maybe McDavid will do it at some point. He didn't have 140 points after having 153 the year prior. So I still think Nikita Kucherov is going to be a beast, and he was very healthy this season and was last year. So I think if he plays with Gensel, Point in that power play is still clicking, you can probably go for like 130, 135. But in terms of surpassing 144, I don't see Nikita Kucherov following up this season with a 147-point season. Up next, a similar case with Nathan McKinnon, amazing player, but at 140 points, he would have to have a lot of things go right in order to replicate that. Still think he's going to be a beast, but this guy has dealt with injuries throughout most of the last couple of seasons. Last year he was healthy, but the prior season only played 71 games. The year before that missed games. So I think even if he is fully healthy, 140 is a lot to ask, but given this guy's history track record, I don't see another 140-point season. However, Conor McDavid at 132 points, I think he's going to go over this. When looking at him, he missed 6 games this season and had a pretty brutal start. I think in his first, by his standards, his first 12 games, he only had 11 points, which is great for 90%, 95% of players in the NHL. But for Connor McDavid, that was well below expectations. So despite that horrible start, this guy still had 132 points. When looking at it, 153 points back in 2023. 2022 was a bit of a down year, I guess. He only had 124 points winning the Art Ross. And then in 2021, he broke the 100-point mark in 56 games and was on pace for around 154 points that season. So I think Connor McDavid, as long as there's no injuries, and even if he is injured 5 to 7 games, I think he's probably still going to go above this total, win the Art Ross, and most likely the Hart Trophy. Artemi Panarin, this one is an easy under as well. 120 points last season. I think Panarin's going to be somewhere in the hundreds, but 120 is a lot when looking at Panarin in the prior seasons. 92 points in 82 games in 2023. 2022, still a very, very good 96 points in 76 games, but I think he is more so that 105, 110-point guy. Great point producer, but I feel like this was definitely an outlier on a President's Trophy winning New York Rangers. I think he's going to come back down to earth just a little bit, but still probably have 45 goals, 65 assists for 110 points. Still a fantastic season, just not 120 goddamn points. David Pastrnak is up next. He had 110 points this season. This is a great line. This is perfect considering he had 113 in 2023 when they were the greatest regular season team of all time. This year, he gets Elias Lindholm, who I think is an upgrade offensively compared to Pavel Zacha. I think I'm just barely going to go with over. This guy, he just needs to stay healthy, and I think that he will get this. When looking at it, this guy is just a one-man offense wrecking machine. So the fact that he might actually, if Lindholm can bounce back, actually have a legit first-line center to play with. In 2023, he played more so with Zacha than Patrice Bergeron. So I think Pastrnak is going to go north of 110 points. Next up, we got Austin Matthews, 107 points. I'm going to go with over. Similarly to some of these guys that I talk about, it's going to come down to health, but he was healthy last season. And even last season, although he had 69 goddamn goals, he kind of got snake bitten in terms of his team having such a low shooting percentage when he was on the ice. He was still playmaking and play driving at an extremely high rate. He only had 38 assists in 81 games. You compare that to the prior season, he played 75 games and had 45 assists, I believe. So I think he's going to get he might not score 69 goals, but I think his assist numbers are going to go up next season. And we're going to see a 65, if he's healthy, a 65 goal, 50 assist season for 115 points for Austin Matthews at plus 900 to win the Hart Trophy. That might be the best value pick out of anybody right now, in my opinion. I think he's going to go off. I think when this guy's healthy, he is a top, in the regular season, arguably a top 3 player, top 3 producer, and he's probably going to win the Rocket Richard if he's fully healthy. Next up, Draisaitl, an easy hammer of the over, 106 points. When looking at him this season, It was a little bit of a down year. The power play wasn't as good after having 128 points the year prior, and he had 110 points in 2022, 123 point pace in 2021, and when he won the Hart and Art Ross Trophy, he had 127 points. So this guy is going to bounce back, especially given the fact that he's actually going to have some wingers to play with finally, instead of like last year playing with Evander Kane on his left side, and then like a rotating door of Warren Fogle, Dylan Holloway, just a bunch of kind of okay players, decent middle sixers this season with Arvidsson and Skinner. Not sure how the lines are going to shake up, but he's going to actually have some solid wingers on his side. On top of the power play is probably going to be the best in the NHL. Last year it did fall off a little bit compared to the historic rates. So I think Draisaitl, his over-under should be set at like 114 points. I am easily at 106, considering that's what he got last year. He is easily going to go over what he had last season. Next up, Mikko Rantanen, 104 points. When looking at him, 2023, he had 105 points. Last year, 104. So this is a very, very good, consistent range that this guy is probably at. But I am going to go over. When looking at him, it's a contract year. We look at guys recently that played out their contract year. Rantanen doesn't have an extension as of right now. William Nylander, we're going to get to him later on this list, but William Nylander was insane the first 45 games of the season, 37 games of the season, and then kind of fell off, but he still set a career high in points. David Pastrnak in 2023 smashes his career high with 113. He doesn't sign until March. So I think we can see something similar with Mikko Rantanen, just being like, I want to get paid as much as possible. First half of the season, in his first 40 games, this guy has 60 goddamn points, and I think he's going to go over 104. JT Miller, 103 points last year. I think you got to go with under. Just conventional regression shooting-wise would account for that. When looking at it, he was 7th in the NHL in shooting percentage last year. His main line mate, Brock Besser, was 5th. I think there's just going to be some natural regression. I still think he's probably going to go north of 90, but to bet on him going north of 103 with the way that the Canucks shot the puck last season, I think is just not going to happen. He's still a very, 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 very talented offensive player, but 103 points might be the peak of JT Miller's career, which is still, again, an amazing peak and an absolutely insane peak. But I think at 103 points, he's probably not finishing top 10 in overall league scoring next season. Number 10, William Nylander, 98 points. I'm going to go with under as well. When looking at Nylander, he entered the last year of his contract last season. To start out the season, he had 54 points in 37 games, really just locked in for that contract year. But once he signed that deal, literally January 8th, he signed that deal. From then on, in his final 45 games, he only had 44 points. I still think he's going to be around the 90-point guy. He's still a very, very special talent, but going north of 98 points, I'm not sure that this is a season that he gets 100 points, considering he's mainly going to be playing even strength-wise with John Tavares. On top of right now, his left winger is projected to be Bobby McMahon. It's not that ideal of a situation. So as a result, I think he's probably going to be like 91, 92 points. Not exactly 98 points. Next up, Kirill Kaprizov, 96 points. Easy over. I'm very high on him. I think him at 20-1 to win the Hart Trophy is pretty solid value. When looking at him, he had a slow start to this season, but finished it out in his final 46 games. This guy had 71 points. Insane, like 120-point pace. When looking at it, it's going to come down to health. This season he had 96, but he only played 75 games, so he missed 7 games. He was still on pace for like 105 points. He had 75 points in 67 games back in 2023, and then in 2022 he had 108 points. I still think that he's that 108-point pace player, maybe even more, as long as he stays healthy. I don't even think he needs to play on that line of Boldy and Joel Eriksson Ek to go north of 100. If he's just like honestly on his own playing with Matt Zuccarello, he could probably do it. He's a special talent, and I think fully healthy, he goes north of 105 points. Next up, we got Filip Forsberg at 94 points, and I'm pretty confidently going under. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I put for one of my best player over-under points. I put Filip Forsberg under 92.5. I think he definitely goes under his total last year of 94 points. When looking at him, yes, they got Stamkos and Marchessault, but that's not really going to affect him at even strength, considering the fact that he plays with Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly, and they were so good last year. They're not splitting that up. The power play might slightly be better, but I don't think that he's going to score another 48 goals. I think his goal total is going to go down a little bit. And especially what scares me with Filip Forsberg is this season he was healthy, but years prior, from 2018 to 2023, this guy missed an average of 17 games per season. It's not like he missed 60 games one season. It was spread out pretty decent. So I think he can kind of bank on a 4 to 6 game injury from Philip Forsberg next year. So I think he's probably going to be mid 80s. If he's fully healthy, maybe he can get to 94, but I even think that was probably like the peak, the prime of his career. And again, that's like an amazing prime, similarly to JT Miller. Next up, Sam Reinhart, 94 points. That's also a pretty easy under. When looking at it before this season, his career high was 82 points, and that was on the 2022 Florida Panthers that had the best regular season offense like of the 21st century. So when looking at him this season, he shot 24.5%, not 57%, but he had 57 goals. That goal total is going to come down a decent amount. He did only have 37 assists. I think his assists might go up a little bit considering he has hit 49 assists in a season before. But I think what we're looking at for Sam Reinhart next season is probably like a 37 goal, 45 assist season for around 82 points. I just can't see 94 points, especially after getting paid, especially after back-to-back seasons going so deep in the playoffs. Not sure he's going to have yet another career year in him heading into next season. Sidney Crosby, 94 points. I'm going to go with the over. It's tough because, yes, he lost Jake Gensel, but he was actually better down the stretch this season without Jake Gensel than with him. And I think what's going to be massive for the Pittsburgh Penguins is fixing this power play. It was the third worst power play in the entire NHL. So if they can even get that to like league average, that's another 6 to 8 points for Sidney Crosby next season. It's going to be rough. They are in this weird retooling phase. Not only did they lose Gensel, they also lost Riley Smith, but maybe a full season of Michael Bunting on Sidney Crosby's wing could help him out. So when looking at him, he has been healthy the last 2 seasons. I think if he's healthy, I think we could see a 96 to 100 point Sidney Crosby. And as a result, I am going with the over. Next up, Quinn Hughes, 92 points last year. I am going to go with under. Not the levels of aggression I expect with JT Miller. JT Miller like 90 points compared to 103. I think Quinn Hughes is going to be like 85 to 90 points. 92, not sure he's going to have back-to-back seasons of above 92 points. Similar line of thought here. The Canucks were, in terms of goals scored above expected, I believe second in the NHL, only behind the Detroit Red Wings. He's still going to be very productive, but I'm not sure over 92 points. That would basically probably be like another Norris win. I'm not sure he's going to rack up back-to-back Norris wins. Next up, we got Braden Point. Braden Point, 90 points last season. I'm going to go with over, especially if they do assemble that super line. I think Braden Point's going to rack up a lot more assists if he's playing with the sniper like Jake Gensel. Right now with Kucherov, he is the sniper. But when looking at him, he had 90 points this season, 94 points this prior season. So I think something like 45 goals, 55 assists, 100 points is very much on the table. Maybe 45 goals, 50 assists. I think he's going over the 90-point mark. Cale Makar, 90 points last year. I'm actually going to go with under. If he's fully healthy, I think he goes over that mark. I don't think it's that controversial, considering the fact that the last 3 years, he has been above 90-point pace. This guy can just never stay healthy. He always misses like 5 games in 2023. He missed 22 games. He can't stay healthy. If he does stay healthy, he's going over this. But I'm personally, unfortunately, betting on him yet again getting hurt because that's what the track record has shown the last couple years. But if this guy can stay healthy for a full season, he can easily score 100 points. That is just how special of an offensive talent that he is. Next up, Sebastian Aho, 89 points. Going under. Canes are just going to overall be a worse team. They lost Teuvo Teravainen, who played a decent amount with Sebastian Aho. Some built-in chemistry there. In terms of the defense core, maybe not get as much offense from guys like Brady Shea, that was so productive last year for them, and Brett Pesce, not a ton of points, but a very good offensively. When looking at it, I just think that he's going to take a little bit of a step back. Probably still be point per game, but 89 points is just a little bit bold for a guy like Sebastian Aho. I think he probably ends up with like 85. Elias Pettersson, 89 points last year. And I've been low on the other Canucks players, but I'm going to go with over here when looking at him. Started off the season so good last year, 72 points in 55 games, coming off a season where he had 102 points. But then he kind of just like fell off rampantly. I don't really know if it was an injury. He had 17 points in his final 27 games. I think fully healthy this season with a guy like Jake DeBrusk on his wing instead of like Ilya Mikheyev. That's a massive upgrade. I think he's going to go north of 90 points, maybe even sniffing 100 points. So as a result, I'm going to go with over. And then lastly, we got Matthew Tkachuk, 88 points last year. This is an easy over. This is no doubt over. He was kind of like the reverse Pettersson in terms of having 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points in his first 32 games. Then in his final 48, he has 66 points. The dude had 109 points in 2023, 104 points in 2022. I'd be shocked if he's fully healthy, if he doesn't go north of 90 points. I'd set his over under like 99 points. This guy is an absolute beast. Just got off to a slow shooting start last year, but he is still no doubt a top 15 player in the NHL. And top 15 players in the NHL when they're fully healthy go well north of 88 points. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about these over-unders? Which ones would you switch up? Am I doubting JT Miller? Is he going for 107 points? And Nikita Kucherov going for 150 points? And I'll be seeing the next one.